So let's talk about ascension. Okay, when was the last time I talked about this? Maybe 7 years ago, 6 years ago. And I've stayed away from this subject because it is very cringe. It's very cringe when you look at this whole thing about ascension and moving from third dimension to fifth dimension. I'm like, come on, guys. Every month we're seeing disaster in the world, issues in the world, inflation, job losses, all kinds of things are happening. Whether it's the West and its culture, East and its culture, where's the ascension? But let me ask you this. How is it that you're feeling in the last 5 days? Something has shifted in the last 5 days. Now you would have noticed, literally from 4 or 5 days, this uneasiness about the future is beginning to crawl in your consciousness. Like the actual, not even worrying about your own life, but literally generations on end. And this is a new shift that I'm telling you is now starting. And this is where I have always spoken about making certain changes in your life. I first made this video in 2012. Go back on my Careers channel. And I talked about how this is not, the 2012 is not the end of civilization, as everybody said. It's a beginning of new time cycle. And this particular idea began from my professor in astronomy back in my college. I think it was my favorite professor. And it was such a great time we had in that class. And I was so close to him with all the questions because, of course, me into astrology and astronomy. So we went to dinner and we spoke about this whole thing. So I made a video after that. And look what happened from 2012 up to now. From there, the whole social media thing started taking off. Information age began to come in. Then suddenly, slowly, you've got AI that creeped in. Now we're just like in a completely new world. But especially between now and around, I would probably say August to October of 2025. This is where it's going to be the shift that if either you need to be really ready for it, and if you're not ready for it, it's going to feel like a big jerk where you're going 120 miles an hour and you're putting a speed brake on in your car. Between now and the next 2 years, and this is the reason why I made this documentary, which is going to be coming out soon, probably in March sometime, about living off grid or living a self-sustainable lifestyle.
This is why let me take you to a place far away from this chaos, where life is simple, self-sustainable, and most of all, peaceful.
And what I'm saying here, take it as your greatest advice and your greatest prashad you can say. That if your goal, if you think about between now where your life is, whether you're 20, in your 30s, or in your 40s or 50s, and if you're thinking, well, I need to think about retirement 30 years from now, 40 years from now, what am I going to do? How do I get ahead in my world? That's great to do. But you know what your main goal needs to be from this point onwards? Is I need to get a safe place for me outside of the main big cities. Even if you live in the big city and you're working, you should have something. That's your goal. And so I don't want to hear like, oh, I'm making $20 an hour. How I'm going to do this. You do things by setting your goal. The way you set your goal is where I had a very unrealistic goal for myself, that I want to be initiated into Kriya Yoga. I don't care how it happens. I showed my gurus every day for a year and 2 years that I don't care if I get it or not. Here I'm going to do my own version. Because I knew there's no way I can find a guru and I can get initiated. It was so difficult. Even with SRF, it was a very difficult process. You have to change so many things. You have to prove you can do this. But because I knew that was the obsession, that I have to get this, I got it. Of course, that was through my Kriya teacher, Shriya. That's one goal. Then you have other goals that you set aside. Unrealistic goals. There's no such thing as unrealistic. When you put your heart into it, you can do it. I wanted to back in 2010. I'm like, I cannot hear all this negative information about astrology. There's got to be some positivity in astrology. Because every astrologer I would go to, they would just start the list from negative first and then maybe a little bit of positive. I'm like, I'm going to change this. I want to bring about positive things from the worst. So I set out for that goal. I wanted to understand astrology. I did the same thing, whether you are a janitor, which I have been myself, or whether you're working in investment banking or you're working in a big IT firm. Make this goal that I need to have my own self-sustainable living far away from big cities. I'm not telling you to go to Alaska and do something if you're in India. If you're even in Mumbai, there's areas in Mumbai that are far, far away from the big city where they're definitely like completely confined in nature. And you can get, even I would say, just find a 1 acre property. Find a half-acre property. Start growing your food, even if you will not, if you're going to go to grocery stores, fine. Get yourself into farming. Learn about farming. Learn about botany. I'm telling you, you're going to thank me. Because especially what is to come, you're going, the friend that you have right now, that you call yourself as an IT professional, and softwares, machine learning, like now it's a big craze. Like people love to have machine learning analyst or machine learning scientist. All of these things are gonna stand up right against you. And this shift that I know you have felt, maybe one day I'll tell you what this shift is. But you just listen to me. From here on out, that needs to be your main goal. Your goal should not be that I want that big mansion. I want to drive that fancy car. Your goal should be, car is there. Okay, fine. I want to get a house from the family. But my main goal is this. I got to have a place where if something happens, I can go to this place and begin my life without banks, without jobs, without petroleum, without anything, and I can be happy. There are people doing this. They cut off their social security. They cut off their bank pay, their checkbooks. They have no form of identity. They're like, I'm going to live like this. And they're living. You will see such people actually on YouTube and TikTok or Rumble. You will see those things. So you can't say it can't be done, because the only thing that keeps you from this is their own illusion. Oh, we have family and cousins. What about my kids' education? What about this? Education is going to be completely changed. The next generation, the alpha generation that is here right now, when they graduate, they might be the very, very last that has half transformed but they will laugh at the educational system that the population has had for thousands of years, hundreds of years. They're gonna be like, really? You guys used to go to school and get a degree like that to learn? Just like people will laugh now that, oh, 200 years ago, people traveled miles and miles and miles just to deliver some mail to somebody, which was the most grand and most important thing. Come on, destroyed, and they should be getting it. Wow. So everything that you can give yourself excuse about, your retirement plans, your kids' education, all of it is going to be changed. And you have to read between the lines, because I can't discuss most of these things here, because maybe I'm not allowed to. And this is why I'm putting most of this stuff in the documentary that you guys will see, that you have seen some of the clips, but there were certain final things that I had to do about life in off-grid, life in the country. That is going to become, those type of lifestyle is going to become your dream of living in a downtown area in Mumbai or New York or Los Angeles or where. I mean, let me just tell you that is what's going to be happening. So this ascension that has started 5 days ago, it is now going to build and build and build. And I've talked about this, I don't know how many videos, talked about this on Instagram, and I don't know if anybody's listening, anybody's caring about this. But you must create your own food source, your own water source, your own energy source. So if you have been this individual who's in a lucky position where from your IT jobs and management jobs as a lawyer, doctor, you have good enough savings, this is where you need to start thinking about that perhaps I should have something. I'm not going to do everything, because of course I'm little old Kapiel Raaj. I would most definitely would be wrong. I'm not a saint. I'm just a human like you. But if you can just pay attention to what will now start happening, pay attention to all the information that is now around you, and you will know exactly what I'm saying. Have yourself something out of your 100%, maybe just 5% devoted to this particular idea that maybe we should have something of our own. Instead of the grocery store, we're going to this land and picking things for our food. Maybe having a well or some kind of a place where, okay, I have this water. Maybe having a water pump put in your place and land. This is the real practical ascension. Not ascension, I'm not talking about you taking your astral body to the fourth dimension and linking with the beings and all that. I'm not into that. Until I experience that, I'm not going to talk about that. I've experienced it through other people. That's one thing. So I can only tell you what I've seen from the other people through help of other people. But I wish I could do that. But I have seen certain things, but I don't want to even discuss that. I want to be more practical. Is that change has now started? And either you can look at this change as frightening and scary. Any change could be frightening and scary. Or you can be like, okay, this is a change that just tells me I now need to shift my gear, shift my consciousness. Instead of whatever that was taught to me since I was born, how about if I just put it aside just for 20 minutes? Just for 20 minutes, do this. Put aside everything that you have been taught about living your life, earning your living, your retirement, your children, your name in society. all that aside and then think about this particular fact. What would be a reason for me to have a life away from the main city and having a small little nest, an insurance nest, in case? But yeah, my focus is I want to become a forex trader, stock market. Boom, I'm ready. I've got hot blood. I'm 25 years old. I'm going to do this. Life is invincible for me right now. But if you can just do that for 20 minutes, set aside, sit alone, and think about the scenarios why would couples say to have something like this on the side? Why would I need food on the side? Maybe a land of my own, a safety net, somewhere where I can be self-sustainable. And that is it. Just think about it and see what your consciousness says. See what you feel and see how you can now make it into a reality. Because once you are fixated on that goal, you are going to be able to achieve it. And this is within the context of astrology, planets, your destiny, your pending, your prarabdha karma, dashas, transit. Once this is set right there, even from the harshest of dasha conditions, you will be able to do this, but you need to get on it. So I'm not saying you give up whatever your life is, but I don't want you to do this, what I'm saying. I just want you to think about it. Have your own ideas about it. And then you go ahead and do whatever you want. My whole thing about making this video is just to take you away from this static reality we're in. That this is how life is working, this is how job is working, this is how society works. Okay, great. I do that too. I have a family, I am doing that too. But for that moment, you set aside all of this. Have a blank space with the fact that why would I need some of these things? And recent future. Okay? So just wanted to give this message. But anyway, if you're interested in astrology, you can subscribe so you can learn more about Vedic astrology. And if you want to know everything about your chart, consultations, reports, and my books on astrology, check out karasastrology.com. Otherwise, we'll see you later with our other regular programming videos. Thank you.